Hi guys, this is Anshu and I'll be walking you through this specific problem which is about adding two numbers, and this can be found on the URL as you can see above on leetcode.com, and it says add two numbers in the description. Now in this specific problem what needs to be done is that we have two linked lists, and these are the inputs. So these are the sample inputs, and then the algorithm that you write, it can actually have a lot of inputs. So this is just a sample input. So for example, this linked list has 2, 4 and 3 and 5, 6 and 4. Okay, and the way this needs to work is the output is going to be the sum of these two numbers. So so whenever you give this input as 2, 4, 3, you need to extract the number 3, 4, 2 out of it, which is the other direction as you can see over here, and then similarly you will have to extract the second number, which is 4, 6, 5, and add those two numbers together. Sorry. And once you add these two numbers, you will need to again create a linked list, which is going to be same as this kind of input. So it is going to be in the reverse order. So that will have 7, 0 and 8. Okay, so I have two solutions over here, which is in C++. So one is really efficient solution, which is provided by leetcode.com, and before looking at the solution I wrote my own solution over here. So let me walk you through this solution first, which is a longer solution. Okay, so in this specific function you have two list nodes, L1 and L2, which are being passed, and I have defined two arrays, two strings specifically, and named them as ARR1 and ARR2. And as we come down over here in this for loop, you will be able to see, just a quick overview, there are two loops over here, which is this one, and then you have the second for loop, which is right over here. Okay, now what we are doing in the first for loop is we are extracting the numbers from the linked list. So as you can see over here, we have these iterators defined, which will actually iterate through L1, and IT2, which will actually iterate through L2, and we are checking if any of these are null, and if not, this loop will keep executing. Now here we are checking if ID1 is null, and if it is not null, we will convert the value which it has into a string. Okay, so S1 will have the string over here. So let's say if I go back here, I will extract 2 first. Okay, and since it is an integer variable, I will need to convert it into a string. Okay, so this is our structure. Before we go ahead, this is the struct list node. It has integer value, and then it has the next pointer, and this is our constructor. Now as we move through this, once we extract the string and put it inside S1, we are actually inserting it at the beginning of the array that we just defined earlier. So essentially what we are doing in this case is we are adding numbers before the array, right? So let's say for example I get the number 2 first, so I insert the number 2, and then I get the number 4, then I will insert 4 at the start of my queue, and then I'll get the number 3 and I will insert it at the start of my data structure. Okay, so once that is done and I move it to the next iterator, which is the next node in the list, and similarly we do the same thing for id2 if it is not null. Okay, so once this is done, we actually have extracted the two numbers from both the linked list, and here we are actually performing the addition of those two numbers. Okay, so I'm using unsigned long int in this case because once you add two numbers which are integers, they can actually become unsigned long. So for that I'm using unsigned long, and str2 unsigned long is the function which will actually take the string and convert it into an unsigned long integer. Okay, now once we get both of these integers from array 1 and array 2, which are actually strings, we calculate the sum of both of these numbers. Okay, and then once the sum is calculated, it is again stored back as a string in ssum, as you can see here. Now once we are done with the addition of these two numbers, it is time to create the linked list. Okay, so I define another list node with head as null and a character C which will actually parse my entire ssum, and here I'm printing just for debugging, and here we allocate a list node, convert the character to an integer by using a ASCII to integer function, and if head is not equal to null, in that case we do this pointer manipulation, and if it is the first one, in that case head is assigned by 10. Okay, and once this function runs, we will have a list of numbers which will be in the reverse order again, and then we are returning head. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run this function and show you what is the output. So you can see the code has finished, and this is the sample input that we had, which is 2, 4, 3, and then we have the second input, which is 5, 6, 4, and this is the standard out, and this is my answer, which is actually in the reverse order, and this is the expected answer. Okay, now once I click on submit solution, it is going to run a bunch of tests on my code, and it will test with a lot of different numbers to make sure that it is efficient. So I just clicked on it. Okay, and I'm getting a wrong answer. So here's the thing. Now obviously this specific version of code that I wrote, it didn't work for all of the test cases. So for example, if I click on more details, I can see that there are two test cases which actually failed, and 1560 actually passed. Okay, so there are two test cases which are still failing at this specific point. Now let me go back to the second solution. So the second solution is provided by LeetCode itself, and LeetCode actually provides the solution in Java, and this specific solution is in C++. So I've simply adapted the solution to C++ over here, and it's pretty nifty, and it is really small and fast as compared to the one that we saw earlier. So for example, in this specific case, so right now I have commented out the earlier for loop and the earlier solution essentially, and as you can see here, it iterates through the entire list. Okay, so for example, for this specific for loop, the total time, which is the time complexity, is going to be max of the total input size. So for example, if IT1 is longer as compared to IT2, then it is going to be the time complexity is going to be the size of IT1 in that case. Okay, and similarly, there is another for loop which is getting executed. So this adds to the total over here. So whatever is the max in this case plus the size of this one. So that is going to be the time complexity for this specific solution. And this one actually executes the maximum of the two lists. Okay, so for example, if you have L1 which has more number of elements as compared to L2, in that case the time complexity is going to be for example, if the size is m, then it is going to be O of m. So whatever is the max between these two. Okay, and this while loop, so this is again a small solution, and here we are initializing p with the list node and q with the list node 2, and we are allocating a new list node over here where we are actually going to store the sum of those two values. Okay, so as we go through this, now the earlier solution was really different. What it did was it calculated the sum of these two numbers over here. Okay, so it extracted the two numbers and then calculated the sum, and then finally it loaded it into a list. Now in this case it doesn't work that way. It takes the input list which is in the reverse order and it starts adding it from the first number, and whatever is the carry. So for example, if your first number is 2 and your second number is 5, so these two numbers will be added, and in this case the carry is going to be 0. Okay, so then we move on to the next number and then add 4 and 6. Now the carry in this case is going to change, so 6 plus 4 is going to give you 10. Okay, now so we calculate the sum, which is going to be in this case 10 upon 10, and this will actually change my carry to 1. So now carry can be either 0 or 1. Okay, one of these two, and it cannot take any other number. So and then what we do is we take the modulus of the sum and then we store it into the next list, into the list item, and then we move to the next element in the list of P and Q. Okay, so here we are allocating a new node which is going to store the sum in the reverse order. So we are essentially eliminating all of these steps over here where we extracted the number and then took the total of those numbers and then again created a list from those numbers. So essentially we are skipping all of those steps, and this is really fast as compared to the earlier solution. And as you see, we go to the here we are allocating the list node, and then we go to the next node item, and then we are checking if P is equal to null, and if it is not equal to null, we will actually move to the next element in the list, and similarly we perform the same check for Q. So we essentially go from the start of the list, so we go from here to here, and we add 2 with 5, 4 with 6, Whatever is the carry, we will actually add it to the uh, next number. So for example 3 and 4, and we have a carry of 1. In that case we will have a total of 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 with the carry, right? So you get the output as 7, 0 and 8 in that case. So that's how this one works, and let me show you the output now. I'm gonna run this code, and here you can see the input is 2, 4, 3 and 5, 6, 4, and my answer based on the algorithm is 708, and the expected answer is 708, so which is good. Okay, now the important thing is when I submit the solution, are all of my test cases going to pass or not? Right, so now it says accepted, and if I click on more details over here, it shows me that my runtime was 28 milliseconds and all of the test cases have passed, right? And then what is my runtime? So my runtime actually beats 100% of the CPP submissions. Again, this is a solution which was provided by LeetCode, which was really efficient, and that's one of the reasons why it actually beats the all of the CPP submissions. But you can see it is really a nice and nifty way of calculating the addition of these numbers in a linked list. Okay, so I think that is it from me for this particular session. Again, this is Anshul, and I'll be creating other videos and upload it on YouTube, so check it out whenever I upload it next. Thank you so much, and you have a good day.